The Foreign and Expatriates Ministry signs with the UN and the Organization of Prohibiting Chemical Weapons an agreement with the legal center of the joint mission of removing Syria's chemical weapons. Hundreds of families return to al-Mu'addamiyya with the help of the Syrian army as aid supplies flow into al-Yarmouk camp. Dozens of Iraqis killed and wounded following a series of terrorist explosions. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our news for today. In the presence of the Deputy Foreign and Expatriates Minister, Dr. Mikdad, Syria's permanent representative to the UN, Dr. Bashar al-Jafari, has signed with Mr. Abdullah Fadil, the senior official of the UN OPCW mission, and Mr. Julian Tangeri, the representative of the Chemical Weapons Prohibition Organization at the joint mission, two agreements, the first specifying the legal position of the joint mission on eliminating chemical weapons in Syria. The second agreement is a memo of understanding related to providing medical services as well as the services of medical evacuation to the joint mission in cases of emergency. Following the signing session, Dr. Mikdad said the Syrian state is known for its commitment to international legitimacy and to any agreement it signs, and its cooperation with the Chemical Weapons Prohibition Organization after signing the second with it. The accord with it has been exemplary and serious and is being implemented with a great deal of transparency. Dr. Mikdad stressed that Syria is firmly, strongly and with credibility going ahead in fully implementing its agreements with the UN and the Chemical Weapons Prohibition Organization. He added that the difficulties facing Syria, particularly within the framework of its war on terrorism, may hinder now and then the implementation of some commitments. Dr. Mikdad pointed out that the states supporting the armed terrorist groups must be aware that the latter are perpetrating crimes against humanity and that caution must be observed when the matter has to do with the transfer abroad of chemical weapons from Syria. Deputy Foreign and Expatriates Minister Mikdad stressed that the Syrian official delegation to Geneva II conference cannot exercise the policy of so-called working under the table when it comes to Syria's destiny, pointing out that the Syrian people are the main factor that the Syrian leadership counts on in each and every step, and this is the ethical dimension of the Syrian foreign policy. Al-Mikdad said in an interview with the Syrian TV channel that the Syrian leadership realizes in advance the scale of the conspiracy hatched against Syria, particularly in relation to the media misrepresentation of events. Al-Mikdad stressed that President Bashar al-Assad has been the only decision maker with regard to going to Geneva and is the only decision maker concerning the sessions of evaluation which the Syrian officials are holding over what has been achieved in Geneva. He pointed out that the world will soon witness the breakup of the line hostile to Syria because many European states have started to protest against the stupid policies practiced by France and Britain against Syria. As calm has been restored as a result of the national reconciliation efforts now covering many places in Syria, hundreds of families from al-Mu'addamiyya continue to return to their homes. The General Coordinator of Popular Reconciliation, Supervisor of the Reconciliation Initiative in al-Mu'addamiyya, Hassan Ghandour, has said citizens started to return voluntarily to their homes 4 days ago after they had been forced out because of the acts of violence committed by the terrorist groups. Ghandour said a program is being implemented to ensure the return of 40,000 civilians to Al-Mu'addamiyya in the coming few weeks within the framework of the district's Return to the Lap of the Homeland initiative. He referred to coordination being maintained with the concerned authorities and the efforts of the Syrian Arab Army to facilitate the return of the inhabitants to their homes. Humanitarian assistance continues to arrive in al-Yarmouk camp for the 6th consecutive day, with the distribution of 4,300 food packages and the evacuation of 2,300 humanitarian cases with their escorts, as well as university students from the camp. The supervisor of the Palestinian People Relief Campaign in al-Yarmouk camp, Abu Kifah Ghazi, said the Syrian government and the 14 Palestinian factions are set on alleviating the suffering of the inhabitants until security is restored. On his part, the person in charge of medical services at the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, General Command, said the front, which supervises the relief work, is cooperating with the Syrian government and the Syrian and Palestinian Red Crescent to evacuate the humanitarian cases and offer medical services and first aid to them, and see to it that such material is sent to the hospitals in Damascus and to the provisional residence centers. Syrian Arab Army units targeted several hideouts and gatherings for the terrorists at Al-Haysa Bridge and the poultry farm of Philip east of the town of Morek in the northern countryside of Hama, killing many terrorists and destroying their boats that were loaded with ammunition. The communication and internet service has been restored to the city of Daraa after fixing the damage in the chamber of light and copper cables in the town of Sheikh Meskin. Director of the Syrian Communications Company branch, Ahmed Hariri, said the sabotage acts carried out by the armed groups had been perpetrated in that chamber, which contained 5 light and many copper cables. He pointed out that the branch's technical staff fixed the damage and are currently working on repairs in Sheikh Meskin and Izra telephone centers. Al-Hariri called for the need to preserve the telephone centers and other communication networks and lines in a manner that contributes to the services offered to citizens. Syrian Arab armed forces foiled an infiltration attempt by an armed terrorist group into a Safsafa neighborhood in Bab al-Sibaa and other safe areas in the ancient city of Homs in order to attack citizens and military checkpoints. However, units of the Syrian Arab army inflicted heavy losses upon them. Welcome back. In Iraq, 16 people were killed and more than 30 others injured in a series of terrorist blasts, the most violent of which were 2 successive ones near the Green Zone in Baghdad. Iraqi sources said that the first blast targeted the entrance of the Foreign Ministry and it was carried out by 2 car bombs, killing at least 7 people and injuring 15 others. The second blast was carried out by a suicide bomber who blew up his explosive belt, killing 5 people and injuring 12 others in a public restaurant near the heavily fortified Green Zone in Karadet Mary, where the headquarters of the Prime Ministry and other government institutions and foreign embassies are located. Elsewhere in Baghdad, a parked car bomb went off in Khilani Square in the Iraqi capital's commercial center, killing 4 people and wounding 8. Finally, and back to our local news, the Opera House in Damascus hosted yesterday a concert by the Orchestra of Oriental Music and the Syrian singer Shaza Hayek. The talented singer attracted a huge audience that filled the hall of drama and enjoyed listening to a number of well-known traditional songs that were presented in an excellent style. The performance of the Orchestra of Oriental Music, led by Maestro Nazih Asad, was also vying for attention, reflecting the harmony and coordination among the players who pleased the audience with a beautiful piece of music composed by Ziad al-Rahbani. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Vani Genjan, but after a short break.